My talk this morning is on the Counsel of Heaven. And if we ever needed the Counsel of Heaven, we need it today. And you're wondering why I didn't bring my Bible up here. I got this instead. These are not my notes, so don't think that. What I brought up here is I wanted to show you, because of my topic this morning, the Counsel of Heaven is a term that Jesus used that's recorded in Matthew. It's called Malkuta Dashmeya, which we translated as the Kingdom of Heaven. But the word kingdom has several meanings. Malkutha means counsel. And it also means sovereignty. So the sovereignty of heaven, or the counsel of heaven, is the meaning of that word kingdom. But you see, when we think of a kingdom, we think of realm. And it's not referring to a realm. It's referring to counsel. S-E-L, not C-I-L. You never get anywhere with a C-I-L. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, and what I brought here, because I'm going to talk to you a lot in Aramaic this morning. This here is from the Smithsonian Institute. Can you all see that? This is from the Smithsonian Institute. Photostat. This is the Gospel of Matthew. We call it gospel, but in Aramaic it's not called gospel. It's called the preaching of Matthew. He is going to be preaching Jesus and Jesus' teaching. And that's why it's the preaching of Matthew. Karozuta de Mate is how we say that in Aramaic, Jesus' own language. And what's interesting, I don't know, it's hard to tell because I'm not real close to you, but notice there are no chapters or verses. And in fact, what we would call verse 1 is a scribal note. The scribe. And we start here on the right and we go to the left. As someone said, oh, they wrote backwards. No, we write backwards. This is not Greek, this is Aramaic. Jesus spoke in Aramaic, he healed in Aramaic, everything he did. This is an ancient language. Not only was it the language of Jesus, but it goes way back into the time of Abraham. And all of his names, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, all these names are Aramaic names. We say Hebrew, but they used Aramaic. Abraham was Aramean, and the Bible tells us that. He got a nickname called Hebrew, but he was really an Aramean, and he spoke Aramaic. And that makes a difference when you're reading Scripture. In fact, what the first verse here says, he says, with the power of our Lord Jesus, the Messiah, I begin to write this book. This is what it says. Right here in the beginning, and he says, of the holy evangel, the preaching of Matthew. And then it starts, what we would say, verse 1. It wasn't until the 12th and 13th centuries that we started putting in chapters and verses, AD. Most people don't realize that. So, what am I going to talk about? I was just showing Dolores, Reverend Dolores, my notes. Can you see them? Can you read them? Well, what you're looking at are the words of Jesus, is what you're looking at. And so that's what we're going to get to today, is the words of Jesus. And I'm reading from the first part there. The upper part says chapter 5. Chapter 5. And I'm going to verse 3. And I'm going to read the words of Jesus, his words. So you're going to hear it. We call this the Beatitudes. And we also call it the Sermon on the Mount. But let me tell you, Jesus never gave sermons. Never gave sermons. He always taught and he declared, but he never gave sermons. And we call Matthews 5, 6, and 7 the Sermon on the Mount. The Sermon on the Mount? No. He sat down. That's what it says. He sat down, and his disciples approached him, if I was reading the first two verses here. But he says he sat down. In Luke, he's standing up. You got to realize you're dealing with literature here. And it depends on the writer whether he wants Jesus standing or sitting. That's not important. It's what he says. And what he says, he's talking to the people. He is not sermonizing to the people. He's doing something. That's what I want you to catch. So what I'm going to do is read his word so you can hear what it sounds like. And then I'm going to tell you, I'm going to literally translate it. Literally. Which is going to be a little different from what you're used to hearing, okay? All right, here it is. Because what these teachings are, which we call Beatitudes, are really the answer to the ills of any society. You've got to realize that. It's the answer to our ills. If you think the government's going to straighten out hatred, it can't do it. You cannot legislate love. You cannot legislate peace. You can put out law after law after law and call it hate crime, this crime and that crime and that crime. You're not going to change a damn thing. Excuse me. You're not going to change anything. I'm on fire this morning and I can't help it. See? Can't help it. No law is going to do it. Heaven isn't waiting for you to get to it. Heaven is already inside of you, a part of you. You were born with it. And people keep waiting for the Messiah to come back and straighten things out when the Messiah already came. I believe Jesus is the Messiah. He came and he gave the way of peace. And then he said, all right, now it's up to you guys. I'm going. That's exactly what he said. But he said, I am with you always, which means his teachings, his power, his presence, his healing, everything is right there with us to help inaugurate heaven on earth, to change our society. It's a society that's a problem. When we put people in government, you think it's people who put people in government. What creates a society is you and me. We create society. A government can't produce a good society. Only you and I can produce a good society. And if you're waiting for the government to do it, it ain't gonna do it. I don't care who you have up there. I don't care what you call it. Japanese, Chinese, American, or whatever. Right? Okay, let's get to what Jesus said. All right. Tue hon el meskene bruch, dil honi malkutha dashmeya. Now you heard it. His words. Tue hon el meskene bruch. That word, tue hon, we're used to our English, blessed. Let me tell you, the Aramaic and Hebrew word for blessed is barach. Is that what I said? I said to a home, right? I didn't say barach. That's the word for blessed. The word here means blissful. Blissful. Did you hear that? Blissful. And I told you I'm going to give you a very literal translation. Okay. So it's not going to sound like the way we would word it in English, okay? But I'm going to do it in English for you, but very literal. Blissful are they. Got it? Blissful are they means something has taken place on the inside of you. Not down the road, but right now because of something that's happening. Right? Don't you see what Jesus was doing? He was stimulating and drawing out what was in people. Mm-hmm. When we say blessed, oh yeah, bless me, put the blessing on me, and there's nothing to do with it. He's saying, blissful are they. Il miskeni bruh. Il miskeni bruh. The poor, literal, this is literal, poor in spirit. See, poor is the word miskena. That's singular. Plural is miskene. The poor ones. In spirit, though. Bruch, in spirit. This is an idiomatic expression which means blissful are they, those who surrender to God. Surrender to God. So what produces it? And Dr. Lamsa translated poor in pride, which is another way you can translate it. Poor in pride. Wow. When you're free of pride, you're blissful. Right? Come on, you look at me strangely. When you're poor in pride, you are blissful because you're free. Pride enchains us. It chokes us up. And when what is this? I don't want to say the word that just came into my head. What is this thing called white supremacy? Come on now. There's no one supreme but God. God is supreme in every human being and in every race. And when we make it one particular race, you see, that's a problem. That's a problem. It's pride. It's pride. The roots of supremacy are pride. I don't care what it is. The roots of it. And that's why it says, blessed are those who are poor in pride. You know, to make a horse really good, that you're able to ride it, what do you have to do? Then you can ride it. It's the same thing with ourselves. When you break down the pride, you can ride. You can ride. You following me? You can ride. You don't have to push anything. You don't have to say, well, I'm first. You know, come on. Quit being silly. It is. I don't know anyone more silly than human beings. We're silly. We're really silly. We don't understand who we are and what we are. These people who are going around saying, oh, we got to make this the number one thing and this race the number one thing. I don't care what race it is. No such thing. No such thing. That's why it's the sovereignty of God, right? The reign of God. It's God's sovereignty. And God's sovereignty is universal and is equal in everyone. But the trouble is you have to break down the pride in order to ride that. Blissful are the poor in pride. Blissful are they. I love what Jesus said. And can you imagine how the people felt who heard it? He didn't say, you're going to be blessed, the day is going to come. He says, no, what gives you this blissful state is your surrender to God. That's why the next verse said, a part of the phrase is, because the kingdom of heaven belongs to you. The counsel of God belongs to you, right? The sovereignty of God belongs to you. So where is the supremacy? Where is the supremacy? In God. In God. And the minute I recognize it's in God, I've gone back to where I came from. Yeah, all babies come straight from heaven. Yes, they do. All babies come straight from heaven. We teach them how to be devils. Right. Our culture, our pride, all these different things, we bend them in another direction. A child doesn't know. You think a child pays attention to skin? Carefully taught. Right? Carefully taught. And you think a child knows a boy and a girl? They don't. Not until they undress and they see the difference. Right? And then they laugh. How come I ain't got that? Don't you see what I'm doing here this morning? Melting us down the way Jesus did. Tue honil meskeni bruch dilhoni, for theirs is the counsel of heaven. When? Now. Here. You're blissful now. And you know, people always come up to you and say, do you believe in Jesus? And you know what I tell them? Do you believe Jesus? Big difference. Huge difference. Big. In fact, I'll never forget, I have it up here. Years ago, when I first started working with my mentor, Dr. George Lamza, who comes from ancient Assyria, which is, during his time, owned by Turkey in the Kurdistan Mountains. And when we worked together for 10 years. I always called him Rabbi Lamza. That's Aramaic. Rabbi Lamza means Dr. Lamza in English. Because when we say rabbi, that's Aramaic. That is not Hebrew. That's Aramaic. Didn't come from Hebrew. And it means my great one. So when we say Rabbi Yeshua Mashiach, my great one, Jesus the Anointed. Big difference again. And we were working together. And so we got into a discussion one day about Yeshua. Not Yeshua. Yeshua is the Hebrew way of pronouncing it. It's Yeshua. And so we got into a discussion. And he said, I think we ought to put it down, because we were discussing this believing in Jesus and believe Jesus. And I said, so what did Jesus believe and teach? So we put a little pamphlet together called What Jesus Believed and Taught. See, what we go by is what the church dogmas and doctrines teach. And not what Jesus taught. So what did Jesus believe? Anyway, we put it in a little pamphlet. And then later on, after Dr. Lamza made his transition, and I was lecturing all over the country, someone in Florida put together a little bookmark. What Jesus believed and taught, and then listed all the things we put together, what Jesus believed and taught. We couldn't put down all of his teachings. We summarized in certain sentences. Just like, God is one and eternal, meaning only one principle, which you heard this morning in the meditation, right? Well, I can't give you all these because this isn't my talk. I just wanted to get to the point of not believing in Jesus. It's believing Jesus. That's a big difference. So, the first thing I'm believing Jesus, blessed are those who surrender to God, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. The counsel of heaven, the sovereign. In other words, another sovereignty has taken over my life. Wherever I may be, whether I'm in Timbuktu, right, or America, or anywhere else, once we accept this is why the Romans had to crucify him, because he represented another world that doesn't quite fit into this world, because it changes the whole social structure of living in a society. This is when we get together here just on Sunday morning, something more has to take place. When you go home, you're affecting society. You are affecting society. How you behave and what you do affects society. Absolutely. It's not, Jesus didn't die to get us to heaven. Jesus died so heaven would open up in us. And, that's what they preach, We follow the teachings of Jesus, so I'll make heaven. Well, let me tell you, I don't think many are going to make it. To make heaven? No. Heaven begins with you. Heaven begins with me. Heaven is not on the outside. Heaven is on the inside. We produce the outside. And we want the Messiah to come back and do it all. He said, look, guys, I've already done it. Now it's up to you. And we'll wait and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait for Jesus to come back. When all the time Jesus is waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting on us to wake up to his teachings and what he came to do for us. Right? To enable us to make heaven on earth, to create a society that is wonderful to live in. I'm sorry, no government's going to do it. And no church seems to be doing it either. You know what I mean, as an organization. It's up to we as people and individuals. That's it. Let's go to the next one. Well, because I cannot, and because of the limitation of time, I'm going to skip the one. I'm going to go to the next one. Tuehon, there it is again. Blissful. Blissful. Il makiche. Il makiche. Dechenon nertun ara. Well, what is that? Blissful are they, the pliable. Blissful are they, the pliable, for they will inherit land. It says the earth, but that means the land, wherever you are. In other words, when you are pliable, mekiche, we use the word meek. This is not new with Jesus. This was in the Psalms. But he was showing that you meek people, you're blissful. Right? Because when you're meek, when you're not meek, you're standing up. You know what I mean? When someone does something wrong, I'll get you for that. Right? We're a meek person. Well, the storm has come. I know. I need a lot of meekness. Because sometimes my Italian shows up. You know, it means to be pliable, bendable. And you know the trees that survive a storm? And when the hurricanes come, what happens? You see the trees bent way over. They bend, oh, they bend, they bend, they bend. And when the storm is over, they're up, they're up, they're up. Right? That's exactly what happens to us. Don't worry if during the storm you had to bend. Listen to what I'm saying. Don't worry if during the storm you have to bend. Because the storm will end. Yes, sir, the storm will end. And what we're seeing today in the news, let me tell you, it will end. Don't be frightened by it and don't be fearful. It's going to end. It will not last. And you can march till you're blue in the face. Marching won't change it either. How are you going to change the human heart? Jesus knew that. He knew that. And that's really what, when we say, do you believe in Jesus? When you believe Jesus, then it changes your heart. And you lose all this other garbage we were taught with, including in religion, that keeps us separated from one another, from loving one another, caring for one another, and being a part of one another. Delighted, blissful are the meek, the bendable. You know, I think I've told you this once before, but it's been a long time. There's an old Chinese story, no, Japanese story, of the samurai. Do you remember that one? The samurai and the man of meekness? You don't know that story? Oh, I'll have to tell you then, see. They were on a boat together with a whole group. And the samurai man was standing there with his sword and, you know, that fierce look, strength. And the man of meekness was bent over the rail, looking, you know, at the water, and it was gently going by, and he's so relaxed. This was irritating the samurai. Meekness irritates people. And he looked at him and he said, "Would you accept the challenge?" The man of meekness looked up and said, "Well, what is it?" He said, "My sword against your meekness." He says, "Yes, I'll take the challenge." So they went to the captain. The captain stopped the boat because there was an island nearby. And so they said, "We'll put you in the dinghy, and then you go out to that island, and you settle that challenge out there in the island." So they got in the dinghy, went down, and then, of course, the samurai grabbed the oars first thing, and And what was the man of meekness doing? He had his hands in the water. So, what will happen here? Before they could even hit the seashore there, right at the head of the beach, the samurai jumps out, pulls out his sword, throws it in the air, catches it, and stomps down on the ground, and he's yelling as he does it, and swings his sword and chops. Ho, ha, he, ha. It was so frightening that the hills trembled, and the grass went and hid. See? And when this samurai was carrying on with all that, the meek man was rowing back to the boat. If you're still in a storm, the answer will come to you. And you'll know what to do no matter who's threatening you, no matter what is going on. No matter what you're feeling, no matter what the circumstances are going, ooh, bend, 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 and the answer will come and you'll stand up again. The storm will end. Oh my goodness, I've only done 2 of them. Tue hon le lane de capnin was hein il kenutha de genon is beun. That's Jesus talking. These are his words. All right. Blissful are they, those who are hungry. Hungry, yes, and thirsty, or thirsting, however you want to put it here. For kenutha. Kenutha. Kenutha means genuine piety. Genuine piety. Or you can translate it as righteousness, but the root of it is piety. For a true piety, which is really, again, we're back to God, aren't we? Because only justice can come from God, because God is the only one that knows fairness. We're too busy over divisions and lines we have drawn. God has no lines. God has no boundaries. And really, in us, we have no boundaries either, just we're not awakened to it. They will be well satisfied. You know, there's nothing like eating when you're hungry and thirsty and drinking, right? When you're kind of full, you don't enjoy it as much, do you? In fact, I won't even eat. If I feel full, I won't eat, right? Because some people, that doesn't make any difference. But when you are hungry and thirsty, you will eat. So if you're starving for truth, if you're thirsting for truth, you're in a blissful state. Blissful state, because that means you will eat the truth and you'll be well satisfied. And you will drink the truth and it will be a part of you. You'll know true piety, true justice, true righteousness, and you'll be well satisfied. Oh, did Jesus know what he was talking about? Yes, he did. Let's go on. Oh, one of my favorites. This next one's my favorite, beside the first one. Tue hon lam rachmane. Tue hon lam rachmane. Dale hon nechwon rachme. marachmane, and the ending is rachme. See the two words? All right. It's from the root word. Blissful are the compassionate. Mercy is also, blessed are the merciful. That's not incorrect. You can translate that. But mercy comes from compassion. And at the root, it means compassion too, as well as mercy. Blissful are the compassionate. For upon them will be more compassion. Because if you are compassionate, it means to be tender-hearted. This word, rachma. Oh, I love this word. It's such a good word in Aramaic. And in fact, in Arabic, they use this word a lot too, concerning when they say Allah. Rahma. Rahma. It's just, one is singular, one is plural. Rahme is plural, Rahma is singular. That's the root. It means to be tender-hearted. But the word Rahma is a wonderful word because you know what it means? The word Rahma, it means your bowels. That's the word, Rahma, your bowels. Because without your bowels, you could not live. You know, we always talk about the heart. Let me tell you, that food's got to be distributed. Without your bowels, there is no breaking down of the food. Your stomach does a little, but not that much. It's basically done in the small intestines and then through some in the large intestines. So, blissful are the compassionate, those who are moved. And when you get news that's not good, where does it hit? Right here. In fact, they call this the second brain. They refer to it as the second brain because compassion is what distributes the goodness of God. It is compassion that distributes mercy. It is compassion. Compassion. That's why marching doesn't do it. Compassion will do it. When you show the people, hey, look, it's not your skin. It's your heart. It's your bowels. And I got news for you. All our bowels are the same. Yep, I'm afraid so. You got the same bowels I have, and you have the same bowels I got, right? We're the same. We are not different. It's only in the outward. You want a good society? The good society starts with you. It starts with you and me. Okay? So, compassion. We are moved by compassion. This means your whole being. I didn't tell you this, but it also, the word Rahma and Rachme also means this whole area in the woman where a child is born, what we call the womb, is called Rahma. In other words, compassion. We're born in the womb of compassion. In other words, womb and compassion is the same word. We're born in compassion. When you were formed in compassion. Do you understand what I'm saying here? In other words, every human being, before we teach them, is already formed by God in compassion. And where did he put compassion? Right in the center of the woman, which is the garden. Which is the garden. Don't worry, men, we have it too. Only ours dropped out. Because the word for testicles in Aramaic is rachme. So be careful what you're handling. You're handling compassion. And when you touch the womb or the belly of a woman, you're touching compassion. You're touching compassion. You're feeling the energy. Do you realize this is God's energy? We were formed from energy. That's why we never die. Energy can't die. It just changes form. That's all it does. It just changes form. And when you shed this, your energy goes on because it was formed in compassion and lives forever. Come on now. Oh, I love the 23rd Psalm that was sung when they sang it in the end. And I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. You know what it is in Aramaic? I will dwell in the house of the Lord throughout the ages. This is only one age here that you're experiencing. You have other ages to go through. Your energy never dies. Never dies. It comes. I'm telling you, this language really opens up things. It doesn't do it from Greek. It only does it from Aramaic, the language Jesus taught in. He saw secrets of the universe that we still don't know about today. That's why he wasn't afraid of death. That's why he could face the Romans. That's why he could be nailed to the cross. Yes, and that's why they could see him later. Because his energy could not be crucified. Cannot be crucified. The goodness in you can never be killed. I don't care how you may go. Right? Right? Yeah. I think that's enough on compassion. Here's another one. Tue hon lelein that came bilibhon. You know what I'm touching? Bilibhon dechenon rakse lalaha. You know this one. You practically heard it. Blissful are they, those of a clear, those who are clear in their heart. For they will see God. Everyone says, you want to see God? You know, Moses wanted to see God too. So he hid him in a rock, and he only got to see the hinder parts of God. God has no hind end. I got news for you. God is spirit, Jesus said. So how are you going to see God? You got to see him through spirit. But how can you see spirit? It takes a clear heart, which is a clear mind. It has to be clear of envy, strife, jealousy, competition, and it has to see God. Can you see God today while you're watching the news? No, sir. You see all the hell that we produce in our society, right? And our hatred. But when you're seeing God, you see beyond that. You see through that, and you transcend it, and you see God. Why? Because your heart, your mind is clear and clean, and you see differently than most people see. This is Christianity. I don't know this other Christianity that they teach. I don't know it at all. That's so afraid. And unless you believe that way, you're going to go to hell. I got news for you. There is no hell, but all the hell that we can make is done right here. There is no suffering after you make your transition. The suffering takes place here, people, and we can end it. We can end it. And we end it by letting God's sovereignty rule in our life, the Counsel of Heaven. Am I going on too long? I'm almost finished with it, okay? Blessed are the pure, in their heart, in their mind. They see God. They can't see anything else. And someone say, oh, you're just a Pollyanna. Well, good for Pollyanna. Good for Pollyanna. Call me Pollyanna. Call me anything you want, as long as I can see God. When you see God, okay, then we go on. Ooh, I love this one. Gosh, I love them all. And this is the last one. Tu hon laude shlama thou now dalacha nithron. This blissful are the practicers of peace. Blissful are the practicers of peace, for they are called sons of God. What makes you a son of God? What makes you a son of God? I believe in the right doctrine. What makes you a son of God? Well, I go to church on Saturday instead of Sunday. Come on now, you know what I'm talking about. Denominational belief systems. You have to adhere to certain things. That makes you a child of God, not Jesus. I love what Jesus said. When he addressed this same group, people, he said, Aton and non nuchre dalma. You are the light of the world. In other words, you're the one that gives light in the world. Don't you love that? Then he says, Aton and non, you are the ones, literally. You are the ones. Aton and non, milche, salt of the earth. Oh my goodness, doesn't salt make things tasty? Don't believe what the doctors are telling you. Just get good salt. And you just can't oversalt goodness. And here's what he said to these people. He didn't say, wait till you're born again. Is that what he said? When you're born again, you'll be the salt and the light of the world, right? No. He's talking to people who had never heard the term born again. And yet, look at today. Unless you're born again, you're nothing, and you know where you're going. Not Jesus. Jesus looked at people and he said, all the people, you are the light. Now we can use the definite article, the, because he's speaking to all the people, not just one person. You are the light because we all share in the one light, which is God. All share in the one light. I may have been born in the flesh from an Italian mother and father, but in the spirit, I was born from God and it had nothing to do with my Italian background or anything like that. And I may have been born in America, but when you're born of God and know the truth that it is God that puts you together and not just the man and woman, it takes the three of them, man, woman, and God, to produce a child.